Fact. That's right. Mr. Speaker, the government of Canada is imposing tariffs that cause maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada. Fact. On over $60 billion of U.S. exports to Canada. Fact. Raised over $1.7 billion already. Fact.
Fact. Tell you, doesn't this guy remind you a bit of Inspector Clouseau at times? You remember the Peter Sellers character in the Pink Panther movies, especially in the first one, where he's talking to his assistant and it's fact. Well, I think we have a prime minister who is a little bit, or shall we say, reminiscent of Inspector Clouseau anyways. We'll be right back with more of the news you need to know. This is David Krayden. Welcome back to Stand on Guard, and I'm broadcasting live from Ottawa.
The Prime Minister lied, and his minions continue to lie.
We need political change, but we also need to resolve to resist. Yes, please subscribe or resubscribe if you have to. Still under the incredible pressure from you-know-who. It's trying to suppress the station, trying to keep me off the air at times, but I'm fighting back thanks to you, the people who support this station. So please like this station right now. Tell your friends and family to subscribe, to watch it, to like it, because otherwise we get trodden. And so we're hoping to do I want to have Katie Pasitney on the show this morning in probably 15 or 20 minutes. Hopefully she's going to be able to get on. We talked yesterday. I haven't received confirmation yet this morning. But of course, this is the Ostrich farm story. And they have been in contact with Bobby Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the United States. And, you know, as I said to Jimmy Dore the other night, when I was interviewing him, of all the nominees Donald Trump put forth for cabinet, I think I was most enthused to see Bobby Kennedy Jr. because I have tremendous respect for this man, and as I did for his father, because he fights for freedom and he fights for health, real issues. And believe me, anyone who wants fluoride out of the water is okay in my books, and who's fighting the poison and toxicity in our environment. So before we get to the clips, I wanted to mention this because this is getting worldwide attention. With the sweeping immigration and security bill. Sounds great, doesn't it? Just sounds wonderful. We're going to have a sweeping immigration and security bill. Well, I guess that means we're going to have secure borders and fewer immigrants. Yeah, except we've got 1 million immigrants this year. We are literally spiking beyond belief in immigration. So you think it's going to stop, do you? No. This is more window dressing from the interior decorator of a prime minister. And no, I don't mean that in any sexual sense. I simply mean he likes to put on a nice show for you. And this was what the Parliament coming back for 3 weeks, being introduced with a throne speech from King Charles III. It was all about window dressing. It was all about the show. This is like a Broadway sneak preview. We get 3 weeks of Parliament, they're gone. And Mark Carney gets to do his bonhomie act in front of Parliament, and also a First Minister's conference. Yeah, that was quite an experience, wasn't it? Except, what was it? What was that First Minister's conference? Well, it's been described as a love-in, and I think that's really what it was. I think it was a love-in. And it's incredible to me that people are actually falling for this. And anyway, I want to get to, the bill. What else is in the bill? I was discussing this with my friend Mark Patron this morning on his Saga 600 radio show out of Mississauga. And the poison pill in this bill, you have to read to the bottom of it. It's digital currency. $10,000 maximum cash allowed. Why? Oh, that's going to stop money laundering from organized crime. They always use that justification to take our freedom away. It's going to hit the criminals hardest. It's going to get organized crime. That's what it's all about. This is about targeting organized crime. No, it's about targeting you. So you don't have the freedom to buy or purchase anything without the government knowing what you're buying and purchasing. It means the government can survey your economic circumstances, what you're buying, where your money's going, above $10,000. And of course, if you don't have above $10,000 in the bank or as assets, you're probably in trouble. And the government probably not going to watch you anyway. But if you do, this bill is all about the coming digital currency, which Mark Carney has been an advocate for a long time. It's quite frightening. It is quite frightening. Now, I want to lead off here with this little compilation we did. And what's going on now in the House of Commons? Okay, so the Conservatives in the bloc push a bill, I motion, that there must be a spring budget. Mark Carney says, I note that, but no, I'm not doing it. He's defying the will of Parliament, of the House of Commons, and therefore is defying the will of the people who elected those people to the House of Commons. Mark Carney is not in a majority position. He's in a minority government, and he needs to listen to the other parties in the House of Commons. The fact that he's not listening is ominous, and it confirms what I've been saying for the last 3 weeks. This is a backroom government. Decisions are made, policy is made behind closed doors, and he ignores what Parliament tells him to do. And this is what Mark Carney is all about. Let's listen to this.
Fact. We know how to grow this economy without spending money. And that's why we're proposing. A bill to build one Canadian economy out of 13. Mr. Speaker, we take note of last night's motion.
So the first breaking news for you from me for this parliamentary session is that a Conservative motion requiring an accounting of Canada's finances, with Mark Carney having to produce a budget this spring. Now, Prime Minister Carney said he wasn't going to produce a budget at all this year, then said he would do it this fall. And then he tabled a bill with $500 billion in spending. Now, this is extraordinary. He said he was going to cap increases to government spending at 2%. This is an 8% increase. It also sees massive increases to consultants outside of government. I want you to think Arrive scam when we talk about consultants. So we need accountability. We need to see what's happening with this $500 billion. Is this more inflationary spending? And is that why the Carney Liberals don't want it scrutinized by parliamentary committees and by members of Parliament from all parties? So this is a big win, and it's important. This is an important test for the new Prime Minister because he doesn't have a majority. So will he meet the deadline and get this budget in front of parliamentarians this spring? Well, stay tuned. We're just getting started.
Ready. Fact. Yep. That's what's in the main estimates, and we expect the support of members opposite. The member opposite. I know how to grow. Unlike the member opposite, I know how to grow this economy.
Yeah, they're having a lot of fun. Let's listen to a longer version of question period yesterday to see actually what's going on here. Because this is Mark Carney at his theatrical best. And I can tell you that Mark Carney is a great actor. And as I wrote in my Substack, I wish I had it. I might be able to get the slide of that later. But as I say in my Substack, I just put out this morning, Mark Carney has gone through another makeover. he's going through another makeover, and this is all about Mark Carney in his latest incarnation. And it's incredible. So let's have a look at this. And Mark Carney, this is Mark Carney, the gunslinger. Remember Pierre Trudeau? Yeah, he was the father of Justin Trudeau. Some people say maybe he had another father, actually, but I'm not going to say that because it always gets some people upset when I do. However, Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, used to do his gunslinger act. Mark Carney apparently remembers that quite profoundly because this is Mark Carney doing his gunslinger act.
Fact. That's right. Mr. Speaker, the government of Canada is imposing tariffs that cause maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada. Fact. On over $60 billion of U.S. exports to Canada. Fact. Raised over $1.7 billion already. Fact.
Questions orales, oral questions. The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, Parliament's demanding a budget from this Liberal government. Last night, a Conservative motion passed calling on the Prime Minister to table a budget this spring. The Liberals are asking Parliament to approve $500 billion in Liberal spending with no budget. Despite promising to spend less and cap government spending at 2%, they've increased it by 8%. Single moms, seniors, small business owners must budget before they spend. Parliament wants these Liberals to do the same. Will the minority Liberal government listen to the majority in this House and table a budget immediately?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this week was a great week for the London Knights. It was a greater week for the country of Canada.
You want to tell me why this was a great week for Canada? Because you had a First Minister's meeting? That's why this was a great week for Canada. Because there's nothing else about this week that was particularly great.
Every First Minister in Canada, from Quebec, from the provinces, from the territories, Government of Canada agreed on a plan to build Canada strong. One Canadian economy out of 13. That's what the Congress country for.
The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Thanks for the update, but what about a budget? Canadians deserve real fiscal management, not excuses or fact-free talking points. And here's some of the facts. Liberal consultant spending is expected to rise 35% to $26 billion, breaking their promise to cut down on consultants. Fact. Wow. Liberals promised $20 billion in elbows up U.S. tariffs, but later dropped them with no regard to affected Canadian workers or fiscal impacts. Fact. The majority of this chamber voted last night for a spring budget. Fact. On what date would the Liberals face the facts and table a budget for their $500 billion in new spending?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the First Ministers agreed on a plan to build this great country. Stand up to Donald Trump. Fact. That's right. Mr. Speaker, the Government of Canada is imposing tariffs that cause maximum impact on the United States, minimum impact on Canada. Fact. On over $60 billion of U.S. exports to Canada. Fact. Raised over $1.7 billion already. Fact.
The honourable member for Edmonton West.
$73 billion spent while Parliament was shut down by this government.
Now, listen to what this guy's saying, Kelly McCauley. This is crucial because the government of Canada, the Liberal government of Mark Carney, is spending $500 million minimum without parliamentary approval. Nobody's voted on this. These are estimates. Mark Carney is trying to get by with a series of estimates without a budget. Now, that suggests to me that he's up to something, that he wants to rule by decree, that he wants to rule in a one-party state. And that's what's really going on here. So listen to what this MP is talking about. Carney doesn't deny it. He just says basically go pound sand. That's what he's saying to the opposition.
Spending package of $500 billion with a record $26 billion for liberal-friendly consultants like McKinsey and no oversight or scrutiny from Parliament. Well, this House has had enough. Last night, the House passed our Conservative motion calling on the Prime Minister to table a spring budget. Will the Prime Minister respect the will of Parliament and table a budget immediately so Canadians in this Parliament can have the transparency we deserve?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we take note of last night's motion. But what Canadians deserve,
All right, he takes note of last night's motion. In other words, sure, we noticed it, but we're not going to do anything about it. This is Mark Carney. This is how Mark Carney operates. And this is what Mark Carney is all about. But if the arrogance is incredible, and of course he's just starting.
Canadian provinces deserves is a health care transfer, is a transfer for child care, is a transfer for dental care, is a transfer to support affordability. That's what's in the main estimates, and we expect the support of members opposite.
The Right Honourable Member for Edmonton West.
Mr. Speaker, I realize he's new here, but all those things would be in a budget if you'd table one. Mr. Speaker, this year alone, this government is going to spend a staggering $26 billion on high-priced, liberal-friendly consultants, an eye-watering $1,400 for every Canadian family. They'll present no budget, no departmental plans, and zero transparency. They won't even stand in this House and tell Canadians what the deficit will be this year. Will the Liberals come clean, table the spring budget as this House has demanded?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the member opposite, I know the difference between main estimates and budget. Unlike the member opposite, I know how to grow. Unlike the member opposite, I know how to grow this economy.
Okay, they're having a little excitement in the House here. This is the most excitement we've seen since Mark Carney became Prime Minister for real. And the problem, of course, is he doesn't want to answer the question. And Katie Pasitney will be joining us shortly. I see she's just joined. She's in the green room, if you will. She'll be joining us shortly as soon as we finish this clip here.
Whenever things get to the point where I can't hear, that's when I stand up and halt time. So would the Right Honourable Prime Minister like to back up a bit and take another run at it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will speak softly. Unlike the member opposite, I know the difference between a main estimate and a budget. And unlike the members opposite, we know how to grow this economy without spending money. And that's why we're proposing a bill to build one Canadian economy out of 13. And all the provinces and Quebec agree.
All right, you think it's just about one Canadian economy, or is this about the federal government usurping provincial rights? I think it could very well be that. Now, without further ado, Katie is with us. Oh, yes, we have to. Yeah. So, Katie, thanks so much. I'm sorry it's short notice.
okay. That's
But
okay.
and it's so early out there. I remember what it's like at this time in the morning in BC, though. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. The days have just been long. That's it.
Well,
You're absolutely right, though. It's stunning.
I'm going to put my stand on guard hat on since you got your Yankees cap on. So it's so nice to have you back. And I was at the Jimmy Dore show the other night here in Ottawa, and I talked about your issue. And of course, I didn't know that Jimmy Dore had already interviewed you folks, and he knew all about the issue.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, he says, we've got to fight back on this. And I mentioned the fact that Health and Human Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had sent a letter to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. It seemed to rattle some nerves there. He wasn't aware of that. But have you been in touch with Mr. Kennedy, Secretary Kennedy, in the meantime to see if he could possibly come visit the farm? Because I think this would make just a huge difference here.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely been on our radar. We put out a post saying for people to hashtag him and invite him, copy and paste. We were inviting Elon Musk, and we were inviting RFK out, trying to get that word out there a little bit more with education and awareness about how big this issue is. But I have been talking to John Catsimatidis, which is going to be he is in touch with RFK. RFK is still monitoring the issue, as well as Dr. Oz. So that is kind of an interesting situation.
Well, yeah, I think you're on. I think you've got a winning combination here. I think it also helps that there are so many people, include people like Rebel News is out there on scene every day. They've been doing a bang up job at this. I take my hat off to Ezra and his crew for being there, for doing this job. It's fantastic. But you've also got people camping out on the scene. You think this is going to discourage the government from trying to take the birds away, from trying to do its call? You think this is going to stop them? If you've got witnesses, if you've got people there, because they don't want this bad publicity. There's something just so ugly about what they're proposing to do. Not just because they're wrong, not just because this has nothing to do with science and everything to do with the government steamrolling a farm.
Yeah, it is.
But nobody wants to see innocent wildlife or domesticated birds killed. And I think this is going to help you if you've got people out there. How many people are actually on the farm right now?
We have about 50 right now, but and on the weekends it gets to about 100. This last weekend, we had over 200 here through the weekend, and people come and go and take pictures of the big, beautiful prehistoric ostriches. And it's really nice to be able to meet so many kind people who all want the same thing, and they feel like we all deserve the change that we're fighting for. The Friday I don't know if you were aware of that, when the Canadian Food Inspection Agency did a media release and kind of basically reinforcing why they will be still culling the animals, and why, we've a whole bunch of things that we've done wrong. So we spent the whole weekend and yesterday and the day before breaking down that and going through each of their accusations and each of their lines and breaking it down into lies. And we are putting with it, in our opinion, it's complete disinformation and misleading to the public, and creating that division between people. And so, I think we have about 14 lies that they said in that media release that we will be publishing a piece and putting out material to back that up.
Well, it's interesting the federal government, especially the Trudeau government and now the Carney government, likes to say that it's everybody else, especially their political opponents, who are spinning misinformation and disinformation or lies or fake news. Sounds to me like they're the ones who are putting out false information in this case. I mean, isn't that the case?
So much of it would just make your heart sinks reading it, going, how could an organization that is supposed to be doing so much good just going at this from every wrong angle, doing so much bad. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that here we are, all of us, fighting for this organization to have accountability, do better, not lie, support our farmers, not take them down, and give us some security for the future that they're trying to strip away from us.
So have you heard anything from Agriculture Canada, from the Ag Minister? Because I know about a week ago he seemed to be wavering about this, no doubt because he doesn't like the bad publicity, and no doubt because Secretary Kennedy personally intervened in this situation. Have you heard anything from the Ag Minister?
Nothing. No, we don't.
Not a word.
We don't even personally hear from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency anymore. So they don't email, there's nothing. Yeah, there's no communication. There was a media release that they went and sent out to all the media, but they don't, there isn't interaction daily or even during the week of just talking to us about our situation. The last we heard from them was that they were going to show up without notice, and which just keeps us on the edge, on our toes. And you can imagine the shock and trauma and the anxiety that a family would feel living on the edge of their seat every day, not knowing if they're going to show up to, personally them, or well, they won't do it. I guess they hire vendors to do it, but what thugs could show up to kill your almost 400 animals that you've raised for 35 years?
I still question the fact why the Canada Food Inspection Agency is even investigating this, because as you've explained to me, and as I'm trying to explain to our viewers, these ostriches are not food.
No.
They're not being sold for food. You're not using them for food. These are, as you've explained to me, these are used in immunity experimentation, which of course benefits all of us.
Yeah.
And so why? And I think you really have a leg to stand on here, in addition to everything else you're doing. The Canada Food Inspection Agency never had any legal or moral authority to enter your farm and inspect this situation, because this is not food.
But remember, David, that they can come on your farm based off suspicion and kill every animal you have. It is in their policy. And that, I said there, alarm bells rang so many times on this adventure, where we said this is absolutely wrong, and that shouldn't be a crime to test your animals. It should be a right. It should be, the rights. You should have a seat at the table in organizations like this that give you a voice. The leaders in the industries, it should give them a voice. Then the lies and saying, that we have not substantiated any of our claims of that scientific research, which is absolutely misinformation. That is not accurate. So today, again, we will be publishing a piece going side by side, their piece from Friday and releasing ours, just to show the inaccuracies and the incompetence in releasing such a detailed piece.
So the CFIA is communicating to you only through news releases and statements they make to the media.
Yeah, there'll be the odd one. It was on a premise, I think, like our permits and stuff like that. But there's not, they want to keep it a secret when they're going to come. They want to keep it a secret on how they're going to do it. They want to just keep all of our family here on the edge of our seat. And there's been no empathy since day one. There's been not a moment of, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, but we have to do this. It's been, I don't even have a word for it. There's been a lot of
torture is the word I'd have for it. Mm-hmm. And this is government torture of farmers that they seem to love to do. They have targeted farms and farmers and agriculture for the last 10 years. Farmers have suffered under this Trudeau and now the Carney government. And it amazes me, because they don't seem to think farms are important or agriculture is important, that somehow the grocery stores get their food magically from someplace and it's not produced by farmers, and that they have no rights. And this comes back to me. Once again, this is about your property rights and the government coming on your property and threatening you. This is exactly what they've done. They are threatening you. They're threatening your livelihood. And you brought something up the other day. And sorry if I'm going over your time here, but you mentioned Chris Barber, who I've become very good friends with over the last year and a half because I've been at his trial, the Freedom Convoy trial here in Ottawa. And it just amazed me that the government or the prosecutor in this trial suggests that they take away Chris Barber's truck. They take away his livelihood. And it's not just his livelihood, it's a symbol of who that man is. Yeah. It's a symbol of all he stands for. That truck means so much to everybody who was involved in the Freedom Convoy. But ultimately, it does come down to the fact it is his livelihood. Mm-hmm. They want this man to starve, to be completely subjected. Yeah. And this is what they're doing to you, Katie, to this farm. They want to take away your livelihood, and they expect Canadians to cheer about it. And they're getting some support from idiotic columnists out there who say, unfortunately, it's the right thing to do. I'm saying, unfortunately, you don't know a damn thing about the situation. But they want to destroy you, don't they?
It is. It's so important. They do, and they're destroying farmers all around the world with the stamping out policy. It's you're wiping out natural immunity, everybody. You have to understand we're losing our genetic diversity. We're wiping out natural immunity, herd immunity, which has existed for, millions of years. It's if we do lose our natural immunity, we're setting ourselves up for a catastrophic bad chain of events in the future that we will never be able to go back on. You'll be solely relying on vaccinations, and you're going to be, we need our antibodies. We need natural immunity. And by eradicating all of our farmers and taking away their livelihoods, where we are losing those generational heroes that have dedicated their lives to putting nutritional food on our plates. And they're getting tired. Who wants to keep seeing their thousands and thousands of animals get culled and then have to repopulate, and then get culled and then have to repopulate, only to still be exposed to the migratory animals, the migratory birds that carry H5N1. So you're not killing the source, but we're going to kill everything else that it touches. And that's every outdoor animal is on the trajectory of that path.
Well, that's it exactly. We're going to have your information in the information below, because I think people need to support you in whatever way they can. I want to encourage everybody who's listening, and if you're on that farm, stay there. Don't let this happen, because believe me, this kind of atrocity can occur in the absence of people, in the absence of real media. And I think even the mainstream media, large segments of it, are realizing that this is a tragedy that doesn't have to take place. So I'm encouraging everybody, not just media people who are there on scene. I wish I could be. I would be if I could. But all the people who are camping out, because this could be another freedom convoy. This could be maybe not the same degree. I'm not suggesting we have thousands of trucks to send on your place, but we need people who want freedom from government overreach. Yeah. And that's all this has been, in my estimation, is complete government overreach, violation of basic human rights, violation of property rights, violation of our Charter of Rights and our Constitution. And I don't think the government gives a damn if they're overreaching right now. So, Katie, I encourage you to continue the fight. We'll be here for you. We're going to hold the government accountable. We're going to hold the CFIA agency accountable for its threats and for the torture they're putting you and your family through right now. And I want to know we're on your side. Your last word to you, Katie.
Yeah, that makes me emotional. Sorry. You feel after 5 months, it feels pretty heavy. And anybody who wants to visit us here at the farm, continue to come pour in, stay for the day, we have an area where you can camp. We have outhouses, and fire is always going at 301 Langille Road, Langille Road. You can come visit us. And please, thank you, David, for your last words. Thank you to your audience. And please do keep following us, share. and keep following this story. And we appreciate and love all of you.
Well, thank you for joining us, Katie, and apologize if we brought the tears on, but those are genuine tears, and believe me, I've come close to crying about this because I feel very strongly about it, and I feel very strongly about what you're doing, and I'm here to support you. So thank you for joining me. Let's stay in touch, and we'll certainly do this again. Whatever we can do to support you, we're going to do. Thank you again, Katie.
Thank you, David.
Okay, bye for now. God bless you. And that was Katie Pasitney, and what a courageous woman. What they're doing is important. It's not just about ostriches, folks. It's about freedom. It's about our freedom as Canadians. It's about farmers' freedom. It's about our freedom to have private property that the government can't trot on and take things away from us. This is a basic human.
Fact.
And we have Mark Carney going on about fact. What goes around comes around. This is an historic moment for Canada, just like the Freedom Convoy was. I've got one more clip to show you this morning, and thank you for watching that interview. I'm glad Katie had the time to come on this morning. Remember, it's 3 hours earlier there. But here's the bloc going after the government too, and this is probably the last clip of the morning. But Mark Carney's arrogance is supreme.
For Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, our motion calling on the government to table a budget this spring was passed yesterday. So the Liberals have to respect this Parliament and table a budget this spring. The Liberals want a blank check, and they want approval to spend over $1.5 billion without us knowing what the financial situation really is. During the election campaign, they promised to limit spending to 2%, but instead they're increasing it by 8%. This government has already shown that they deceived Canadians. Will the minority Liberals listen to the majority in Parliament and table a budget this spring? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the motion, we take due note of the motion, but we agreed with the Premier of Quebec that the best way to increase growth in Canada is to have one Canadian economy, not 13. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister probably didn't understand my question. The motion calls on this Liberal government to table a budget this spring, and they've only got 18 days left to do that. A good responsible manager uses a budget to determine what the spending capacity is. If our families, seniors, and SMEs acted like this government, they'd be bankrupt. The Liberals said they wanted to cut spending, but they're increasing consulting contracts to $26 billion. The Liberals must listen to Parliament. When will they present a budget to justify their $500 million in spending? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, there will be a budget that will increase support for seniors, for children, for childcare, for all of Canada. But for the time being, we will be boosting growth in this country with a bill to create a strong economy.
Okay, there will be a budget someday. He's not saying when. He doesn't think he has to. Are we going to be looking at an enabling act in Canada where Mark Carney usurps the authority of Parliament? It's not beyond belief. All he has to do is find a couple of MPs, 2, 3, to join his caucus, and they could do that. I wouldn't put it past Mark Carney. As I've been telling you, he's not what he pretends to be right now. A cost cutter who's hiring consultants at a rate faster than Justin Trudeau, who's spending money faster and greater than Justin Trudeau, who is doing it without the authority of Parliament. He's doing it by decree. He's ruling by decree. Why do I talk about a one-party state? Because he's ruling by decree. One more little bit here from the block.
The honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I'm curious. Yesterday, there was a bit of a love-in Saskatoon. There are stages to a love-in, but at that love-in, there was an interesting project that would be for a pipeline to take oil not from Alberta to St. John, New Brunswick through Quebec, but rather to Hudson's Bay. So what does the Prime Minister think of that odd proposal? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There were a lot of projects that we discussed yesterday in Saskatoon. Yes, it was a big love-in because all the premiers want to work hard and to keep working hard for our country.
Yes, it was a big love-in. When I come back, my concluding remarks will be about what exactly. Yes, and there's my Substack. Thank you for putting that up. That's just fresh off the press this morning. I put that up. Mark Carney has another makeover. Read about it. By the way, Pierre Poilievre's had a little minor makeover too, but it's not as serious what Mark Carney's doing because Pierre Poilievre, I think, is still fighting for freedom. Mark Carney is fighting for serfdom in this country. So when I come back, a little more information about what a love-in for Mark. Okay, I know. Oops. I know. I know you all want one of these mugs, okay? Yeah, I know. There's a chip out of this one because I've used it so often. And you want one of these hats. These are standard operating procedure now. I gave one of these hats, not this one, but I gave a couple of hats to Jimmy Dore and his wife Steph the other night at the comedy night. And they really love them. I hope he wears it on his show one of these days. It will do me so much good. But we can only hope. Thanks for watching today, because what this is about, when Mark Carney says he wants a love-in, that's how he wants to run the government of Canada. He wants to be appreciated by everybody because, after all, he was the governor of the Bank of Canada. He was the governor of the Bank of England. And you heard Liz Truss, former Prime Minister of Great Britain, on this program saying Mark Carney did a lousy job as governor of the Bank of England. He did nothing but print money and bring the economy to the brink of catastrophe. Why do you think it's going to be any different for us now? Why do you think Mark Carney is suddenly going to be the savior of the Canadian economy? He's already lied to you about spending less money. He's spending as much as Justin Trudeau, and he's doing it without the authorization of the House of Commons. So he's ruling by decree, and all he has to do is go to the premier's, the first minister's meeting, and have a love-in to have his actions and his policies validated by the premiers. And who's the only one fighting him in the premier? Only one visibly saying we're going to stop Mark Carney from taking our natural resources away is Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who I'm trying to get on the show in the next week to talk about this and the Alberta separation situation that she's facing. So, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for boosting our numbers today. Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I'm going to keep this station on the air I am going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth, because that's all I have left. And I am damn determined to resist this Carney government in any way possible, as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. And that's why we're here today. I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. This has been David Krayden, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching.